My husband finally said what they all thought. My parents think you're a burden. And honestly, I agree. Welcome to another powerful episode of Revenge Stories, where real life pain turns into unforgettable strength. In this emotional revenge stories narrative, a woman hears the words that change everything. Her husband finally admits that his parents see her as a burden, and worse, that he agrees. In that single moment, years of quiet sacrifice, loyalty, and endurance are dismissed as if they meant nothing. What follows is not screaming or chaos, but something far more dangerous: clarity. This is the moment that defines true revenge stories at their core. This story dives deep into marriage, family pressure, emotional neglect, and the invisible labor so many people give without recognition. Day after day, she supported, endured, and stayed silent, believing love would eventually be enough. But when the truth comes out, so does her awakening. Every insult, every cold comment, every dismissive look becomes fuel. If you love revenge stories that unfold slowly and end with quiet, devastating justice, this one will stay with you long after the final line. As you listen, ask yourself, what would you do if the person who promised to stand by you chose humiliation instead? Would you leave immediately? Or would you let them underestimate you while you rebuilt your strength in silence? Stories like this remind us why revenge stories resonate so deeply around the world. They reflect emotions many people live with every day but rarely speak about. Join the conversation. Have you ever been treated like a burden by someone you loved? What would you have done in her place? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every story. If this video moved you, please like, subscribe for more emotional storytelling, and share it with someone who appreciates powerful, meaningful narratives. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. This channel is dedicated to dramatic storytelling, emotional twists, and satisfying moments of realization, strength, and self-worth. Stories that remind us never to underestimate someone who has finally had enough. Emotional story. Marriage drama. Family conflict. Betrayal story. Dramatic stories. Life choices. Silent strength. Tags. Emotional storytelling, marriage betrayal, family drama story, woman empowerment, dramatic life story, relationship conflict, inspiring comeback, viral story, true-to-life drama. My parents think you're a burden, he said. And honestly, they're right. I answered, okay. No argument, no tears. But at Sunday dinner, his father stood up, faced him, and asked one question that stopped every conversation. I found the hotel keycard in my husband's suit jacket while I was looking for the car keys. One slim piece of plastic that didn't belong to any place we'd ever gone together. It wasn't from a budget chain off the interstate either. It was stamped with a downtown boutique hotel name I recognized from those glossy travel ads in the back of the Wall Street Journal. My stomach didn't flip. It dropped. Like an elevator cable snapped. That would have been shocking enough on its own. But the part that still makes my hands go cold when I remember it? The sticky note attached to the keycard, written in my husband's handwriting. Don't forget Sunday. We need to make a clean case. A clean case. Not a hard talk. Not a decision. A case. Like I was evidence. My name is Mara Whitaker. I'm 42, and up until that moment, I thought I had a boring, steady marriage. The kind you build out of grocery lists, Lowe's receipts, and Saturday mornings watching the Weather Channel while the coffee drips. My husband, Gavin, is 46. He sells medical devices. Always in pressed shirts, always on the phone, always acting like he's negotiating a merger when he's really just ordering chicken at Applebee's. We'd been married 8 years, together for 10. We live outside Cleveland in a beige split level with a half-finished basement and a driveway that needs sealing every fall. I teach social studies at a public high school. Nothing glamorous. Just lesson plans, hallway duty, and the smell of expo markers that never fully washes out of your hands. I liked my life. I liked being the adult in the room for kids who didn't always have one. Gavin's parents never liked that about me. His father, Harold, owns a commercial property company. Storage units, strip malls. The kind of business where people wear fleece vests with embroidered logos and call it casual. His mother, Elaine, was a corporate attorney for decades. They didn't insult me outright. They were too polished for that. They did something worse. They smiled and made helpful comments that landed like tiny cuts. Teaching is so sweet, Elaine once told me at Thanksgiving, handing me the gravy boat like it was a charity. Not everyone is made for the big leagues. Harold's favorite game was asking Gavin questions that sounded like compliments but were really measurements. How fast are you moving up? What's your next territory? What's your 5-year number? Then he'd turn to me and ask, "So, summers off must be nice, huh?" Like my job was a hobby. For years, Gavin played referee. He'd squeeze my hand under the table, crack a joke, change the subject. But about 5 months before that hotel keycard, something in him shifted. He started watching me like I was a bill he didn't remember signing. One night, I was grading essays at the kitchen counter. Kids writing about Vietnam, about trust and power, and what happens when leaders lie. When Gavin leaned against the fridge and said, real casual, like he was talking about the Browns, "You ever think you're holding us back?" I laughed because it sounded ridiculous. Holding us back from what? Costco? He didn't laugh. He just stared at me, and that was the first clue I didn't take seriously enough. Here's the small twist I didn't understand yet. He wasn't asking because he believed it. He was asking because someone else had told him to. And by the time I found that key card, I was already on trial in a courtroom I didn't even know existed. I didn't confront Gavin about the key card. Not that night. Not the next morning either. I slid it back into his jacket pocket like it had never left, then drove to school with the radio off, letting the silence do the talking. All day, my students argued about ethics, about whether leaders are justified in lying if they think the outcome will be better. One kid raised his hand and said, "If you have to lie to make your point, maybe your point isn't right." I wrote it on the board in red marker and underlined it twice. That afternoon, I got home early. Teacher work day. No buses, no bells. I was halfway through reheating leftover chili when I heard Gavin's voice in the living room. Calm, confident. The voice he uses when he thinks he's winning. "I know," he said into his phone. "She doesn't push herself. She's comfortable. That's the problem." I froze, spoon hovering over the pot. "No, she doesn't know yet," he continued. "Sunday will make things clearer. We just need everyone aligned." Everyone. I didn't hear the rest. I didn't need to. Something clicked into place so cleanly it almost hurt. The key card. The note. The comments. The sudden distance. This wasn't about a midlife crisis or stress at work. It was a coordinated story. One where I was the obstacle, the excuse, the reason he could walk away without looking like the bad guy. Here's the small twist of this section. The betrayal didn't hurt as much as the realization that he thought I was stupid enough not to notice the pattern. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I sat down at the kitchen table, pulled out my phone, and scrolled until I found a name I hadn't called in years. Rachel Donnelly, former state trooper, current private investigator. Still answers her phone like she's expecting trouble. When she picked up, I said the truth in one sentence. "I think my husband is building a case to leave me. And I think I'm missing half the evidence." She exhaled once. "Then let's find it." Rachel worked fast. That was always her reputation. Quiet, methodical. The kind of person who doesn't ask dramatic questions because she already knows the answers are ugly. By Saturday night, she sent me a single text. "I've got something. Call me." I sat in my car in the school parking lot when I called her back. Engine off, seatbelt still on. The radio clock read 9:47 p.m. I remember that because I stared at it like the numbers might rearrange themselves into better news. "Start with the basics," she said. "How often does Gavin travel?" 2, maybe 3 times a month, I said. Chicago, Pittsburgh, Columbus, always client dinners. "Right," she replied. "Now here's what actually shows up." She emailed me a folder while we were on the phone. Hotel receipts, rideshare logs, restaurant charges, all legitimate, all approved, all wrong. Gavin wasn't staying at courtyards near convention centers. He was booking boutique hotels downtown, places with valet parking and rooftop bars, charges for room service at midnight, breakfast for 2, always 2, and there was a name that appeared again and again on the dinner receipts. Lena Ortiz, Regional director, same company, married, 2 kids, lives in Naperville, Illinois. Ex-girlfriend? I asked. No, Rachel said. Worse, coworker, someone who reports to the same VP he does. My chest tightened. How long? 5 months, maybe longer. 5 months. That's when Gavin started questioning my job. 5 months ago, he started acting like my steady life was an embarrassment. Like my salary was a personal failure. Like my contentment was a moral flaw. Rachel cleared her throat. There's more. Of course there was. He's been telling people you're unstable, she said carefully, emotionally stuck, resistant to growth, that you don't support his vision. I laughed, sharp and humorless. He means I don't clap when he talks about stock options. He's been laying groundwork, Rachel continued. At work, with his parents, probably with a lawyer already. The word lawyer landed hard. I pictured Gavin rehearsing speeches in hotel mirrors, practicing concern, practicing disappointment, turning our marriage into a slide deck where I was the red arrow pointing down. I thanked Rachel and hung up. Then I sat there until my phone screen dimmed, thinking about every dinner I'd made while he was gone. Every time I'd texted, drive safe. Every time I'd defended him when friends joked about sales guys being slippery. Sunday came anyway. It always does. We drove to his parents' house just after 4. Suburban perfection. Lawns trimmed like military haircuts. Flags hanging just right. The smell of mulch and money. Gavin was quiet, tapping the steering wheel, jaw tight. Let's just stay calm, he said. This doesn't have to be ugly. I almost smiled. Inside, the house buzzed with polite energy. Harold and Elaine. Gavin's sister, Melissa, and her husband. Wine already poured. Food plated like a magazine spread. I felt like I was walking onto a stage where everyone else had rehearsed. Halfway through dinner, Gavin did exactly what I knew he would. He set his fork down, took a breath, looked around like a man about to confess something brave. I think we need to be honest, he said, about where Mara and I are headed. Elaine's hand flew to her chest. Harold leaned back, arms crossed, ready to evaluate. Gavin spoke about ambition, about alignment, about different speeds. He said I was comfortable while he was driven, that he felt like he was carrying the future alone. Not once did he mention Lena. I let him finish. Then I said calmly, Who is Lena Ortiz? The table went silent in that specific way where even the air seems embarrassed. Gavin's face changed. Not shock. Calculation. I don't know what you think you know, he started. She's your coworker, I said. You've stayed with her in Chicago, Columbus, Cincinnati. You book nicer hotels when she's in town. You expense dinners for 2. Elaine gasped. Melissa whispered, Oh my God. Harold didn't move. He just watched his son. Gavin tried to recover. It's not professional, I finished. Then why are the charges always after 10 p.m.? He looked at his plate. That should have been the end. It should have been the moment where the truth stood on its own. But here's the twist inside this section. The one I didn't see coming. Harold didn't side with me. He sighed. Mara, affairs are unfortunate, but they happen. The real question is whether this marriage was viable before that. I stared at him. Excuse me? He gestured like he was rearranging furniture. Gavin has always had momentum. He needs a partner who matches it. Maybe he handled this poorly, but the underlying issue remains. That hurt more than the receipts, more than the lies. Because it told me something ugly and clean. They were willing to forgive betrayal as long as it came with ambition. Elaine nodded weakly. We all make mistakes. I felt something settle in my chest. Cold, solid. I turned back to Gavin. You told them I was the problem. He didn't deny it. Because I needed them to understand, he said. You never wanted more. No, I said softly. I just didn't want your version of more. I stood up. My hands weren't shaking. My voice didn't waver. I'm done, I said. Not because you cheated. Because you tried to turn everyone into a jury and forgot I had evidence. Gavin reached for my arm. I stepped back. I'll be calling a lawyer tomorrow, I said. You can stay in the guest room until we sell the house. Silence swallowed the room. As I walked out, Melissa followed me to the door. She didn't hug me. She just said, You didn't deserve that. Outside, the air felt cleaner, lighter, like something poisonous had finally been named. But here's the major twist building at the edge of this story. The one no one at that table knew yet. Lena Ortiz wasn't just risking her marriage, she was violating company policy, and someone else had already noticed. 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, Gavin lost his job. Not quietly. Not with a resignation letter and a LinkedIn post about new chapters. He was terminated after an internal review flagged repeated policy violations, undisclosed relationships, falsified expense justifications, misuse of company funds. Lena Ortiz was let go the same day. HR had already been watching her. Gavin was simply the loose thread that unraveled everything. He called me when it happened. His voice sounded smaller than I remembered. "I didn't think it would end like this," he said. I almost told him neither did I. But that wasn't true. Somewhere between the hotel keycard and that dinner table, I'd stopped being surprised by consequences. Here's the real meaning of this story. The part that matters. This wasn't about cheating. It wasn't even about money. It was about a man who confused ambition with entitlement, and a family that confused success with character. When those beliefs collide with integrity, something always breaks. What broke wasn't me. I moved into a small apartment near school. Walkable streets, loud neighbors, morning light that belongs only to me. I still teach. I still live simply. And I sleep better than I have in years. Because walking away isn't losing. Sometimes it's the only way to win.